gentlemen, ladies and gentlemen, despite the Monday morning, you're serious business people, quite busy. You know that business people, this time they have various meetings usually and discussions. Thank you for sharing your time in your packed agendas for our event. And let's say good morning to each, okay? Okay, of course we'll have a conversation about serious things, but some hint of humor it should be there. So, greetings, my name is Timur Miroshnichenko. I'm so happy to be the part of this very important event today with you, dedicated to something that is of super importance for Ukraine. So, greetings, ladies and gentlemen, economic policy of Ukraine, the wartime recovery. Okay, so of course, it doesn't make sense in which reality we live right now, in which conditions our country is functioning. But the most important thing that despite everything, our country and all Ukrainians, all of us, we demonstrate resilience, this unbreakable spirit, cohesion, and readiness to rebuild and evolve here now. So we gathered here today to discuss the key aspects of economic policy, which has to help our country not just to overcome this extremely difficult period of our history, but also to put a solid foundation for recovery. And during our event, the first Vice Prime Minister, Minister of Economy of Ukraine, Yulia Sviridenko, will tell us about the key goals and areas of ministry's activities. So, of course, we'll have some more speeches from the deputy ministers, the presentation of important projects aimed at development of entrepreneurship. Apart from this part, we have some nice part as well. Apart from discussions, of course, the ceremony, award ceremony. This is a small spoiler for you to know, what to expect in this event. Okay, so let's actually start, and I pass the floor to opening remarks to a couple of our speakers. Okay, Miss Yulia, you'll be the first one. You'll open the event, Yulia Sviridenko. So good morning everyone, and good morning. And first of all, I'd like to express gratitude for, well, I understand how busy you are, how tight are your schedules, but you found this time to talk to us and discuss what are we planning to live with, the economic bloc of the government, Ministry of Economy. It's really an important discussion. Right before the budget voting for 2025 in the first reading, and it's important to understand which programs are there on the agenda, which we keep, how to support business. Today, we'll build our discussion the following way. Okay, so I would love to discuss the key challenges, how we respond to challenges, with which tools and policies, and stress on SMEs development. With this focus, we had the strategy adopted at the meeting of cabinet. Alexei Sobolev will tell more about that, and we'll have a chance to discuss it in details. And digital tools, of course, we have more and more of those in the Ministry of Economy, and of course, thanks to our partners, we have that result. Today, we announce new tool for the Ministry of Economy called e-permit, and the first service will be available starting from Wednesday. In October, it will be available for business, We know about the currency, income, and many of those in the hall, they mentioned that we need to improve the system, make it, digitize it, and we finally did it. So thanks to our partners, of course. We have with us today USAID, UKD, and of course the EU partners. They all help us to digitize the economy, basically. We also will introduce another tool to you today. So in Prozora Sales, and we've been actively working together with USAID and IFC on it. Another tool, which is being processed, vouchers, you know about them, for additional knowledge and requalification, which will be a digital product. Of course, we cannot forget about the Pulse project, which has already undergone the beta testing. This will be like a single window for you, for business people, to apply, to submit your complaints, let's say, or proposals on how we can improve our activities. And for us, it's a chance to understand where are the systemic gaps, and to find solutions for these problems. And of course, to notify the entrepreneurial council at presidential office and leaders to keep everyone on the same page, to know what problems there are for Ukrainian business. But of course, I had to speak about that at the beginning. I never forget about this, and I would love to say that we are extremely grateful to business for everything you do, and resilience of Ukrainian business, recovery, wartime recovery. It's not a miracle per se. It's a tough work. These are super great efforts. People are working in super stressful conditions, but it's up to you. It's up to you how to support us, and you're supporting us because we really need to have GDP growing after this huge decline. So again, upon the opportunity, upon the occasion, I would love to express gratitude for everything. Paying taxes, creating new jobs, and giving us all hope, hope that victory will be ours. And please evolve, develop, grow despite this tough time that we have. Yeah, so I give some spoilers about the stuff we'll discuss. Thank you for being with us. We'll pass the floor, I guess, to our friends and partners, and then I will present the key activities we will discuss. Thank you, Miss Yulia. Thank you. Yeah. You're leaving the stage for a little, and now we'll have some opening remarks from our partners. And now we have AI of U.S. City Office in Ukraine, Theodore Dell, please.
Усім, колеги, друзі, пані.
Good morning, dear colleagues, friends. Miss First Deputy Prime Minister, Ukraine has already proved its resilience. Like within these 900 days, you managed to withstand during the energy crisis, cyber attacks, various shelling incidents and occupation. The world can learn a lot from this fast transformation and Ukraine's innovative pace within this brutal aggression. Economy is growing, and economy is basically it's the foundation of our resilience. That is why the aggressor state continues targeting at destruction of economy, but they will never manage that. U.S. will continue supporting you in all your efforts to ensure the energy supply, export of agricultural products, transforming your country into the leading global innovator. And I'm looking forward, of course, to getting more information about the economic strategy of MOE. And what is especially interesting for me, how will you solve the problems that investors are facing, like small and medium businesses as well? And also, how will you promote innovations, not only during wartime, but in the process of post-war recovery of the country? So this process has started. You already are supporting Ukrainian businesses, investors. We are doing this in particular by improving the business environment. Like the recently adopted law on corporate governance of state-owned enterprises. So we also provide joint investments for SMEs and startups to increase effectiveness. We send businesses for trade missions to search new markets and, of course, to expand export. We enhance the financial capacity, like the factoring, that actually, the new factoring system that Ms. Yulia mentioned today. Since the beginning of full-scale invasion, we focus more on SMEs. We've been focusing on it, and I'm proud to say that we supported approximately 28,000 of SMEs in key sectors. USAID also supports the state program of grants called Your Own Business. which provides grants up to 350,000 hryvnias to actually expand their business. In 2 years, the program managed to provide more than 19,000 grants and to create approximately 40,000 of jobs. And this is an incredible success during the war. Our support, our joint support, support from us and our partners from International Development UK. We also support the digital transformation of government, which is really a crucial component of Ukraine's European future. More than 110 critically important services are now available to Ukrainian businesses and citizens via DIA platform. Ukrainians can, with unprecedented speed, get any licenses, any documents, any registration, anything. For me, it's an honor to be with you here today when we actually mark another important date, another important step on the way to this digital future. USAID, with the partners, we support the launch of 2 new digital tools designed via the digital information activity. These will promote the economic resilience strategy implementation. So, e-permit and Pulse. I'll speak a little bit about it. I know that we'll still discuss it later. So, yeah. E-permit not only will make it faster for enterprises to cover all the bureaucratic barriers, e-permit actually will minimize the risks of corruption thanks to increasing transparency at each step on the way. And I think that this system will help business to will help hundreds of Ukrainian enterprises to run it easier. Pulse platform, in its turn, provides an opportunity for businesses to leave feedback for government, speak of the key problems and gaps. This will help the state to solve problems and to respond faster to problems of business community. These both tools are actually really important in the reformative process. A lot of work still on the way. Someone claims that reforms are hard to be implemented during the war, but truly, reforms are necessary. So increasing transparency, elimination of corruption, and eliminating barriers for trade and investment, these are super important for the victory in this war. And this is super important for the victory in future. The future we want to get, to be prosperous, democratic, and sovereign country, integrated in the Euro-Atlantic family. So when we look at this future, you can always rely on our support and U.S. support when you want to create the modern, transparent, and innovative economy, which reflects the resilience and courage of Ukrainian people. Together, we can ensure this. We can make this vision real, okay? Thank you so much. Thank you, Theodore Dell, thank you. And we have another opening remark. Now, Development Director of British Embassy, Stefan Kosov, is with us.
Honored guests, friends, Dobry Dane. Thank you for inviting me to this important event today, bringing together government, business, and international partners in our common mission to drive forward the economic recovery of Ukraine. All of us in this room know that a growing economy will make a critical contribution both to winning the war and to securing a peaceful and prosperous future for Ukraine within the Euro-Atlantic family of nations. We need to begin the work now to lay the foundations and set the right trajectory for that future. International support and funding is and will be important, but most of the solutions lie here in this room with Ukrainian policymakers, business and people, all of whom have shown incredible resilience and fortitude over the past 2.5 years since Russia launched its brutal full-scale invasion. The UK is committed to supporting Ukraine's economic recovery over both the short and long run. We are currently providing around $1 billion per year in fiscal support, alongside our support on the battlefield and other vital investments to sustain the energy sector in the face of relentless Russian attacks. But we are also focusing on the longer-term needs of the economy. And to that end, we are right now developing an exciting new programme which aims to promote access to finance for small and medium-sized enterprises and help them to boost their productivity. Alongside this, we are focused on leveraging greater international investment into Ukraine, including via our war risk insurance support to MEGA, the private finance arm of the World Bank, and to the EBRD. And we are working to deepen ties between UK and Ukrainian businesses through our City Ukraine partnership. This includes bringing expertise from the UK financial services industry to help modernise Ukraine's finance sector. We believe that Ukraine's future prosperity will also be underpinned by clean and green technologies. And that is why we are supporting the government of Ukraine to establish a Green Transition Office that will drive forward work to decarbonise the energy sector and help green innovators of the present and of the future to thrive. And last but not least, we are committed to reducing barriers for Ukrainian business, including through the digitalisation of business processes. As already mentioned, through our joint programme with USAID, the Digital Transformation Activity, we are supporting a number of major projects in this area. This includes the e-permit system and the Pulse platform just described, and of course, all the important service provision activities through the DIA platform. I wanted to say a few words about SMEs ahead of the presentation by my good friend, Deputy Minister Sobolev, on the SME development strategy later this morning. A strategy that the UK has been proud to support with our counterparts in the Ministry of Economy and the Ministry for Digital Transformation. SMEs are without doubt the backbone of Ukraine's economy, representing 99% of all business entities in Ukraine and providing 3/4 of all jobs. It goes without saying they will be instrumental for Ukraine's long-term economic recovery and future growth. The war has clearly exacerbated the challenges faced by SMEs, including disrupted supply chains, a shrinking domestic market, and limited access to finance. But it is a testament to their incredible resilience and durability that by the end of 2023, almost 91% of Ukrainian enterprises had resumed their operations since the beginning of the war. Despite the multiple challenges, Ukrainian businesses have continued to focus on developing new products, entering new markets, and finding investment opportunities. We have all seen, for example, how hundreds of SME innovators have transformed their operations to support the needs of the wartime economy through the production of drones, working hand in hand with frontline military units. Through these endeavours, drones developed by SMEs not only protect Ukraine's troops, but also support demining operations and the evacuation of wounded soldiers. And there are many other examples of Ukrainian ingenuity and enterprise out there too. I will name just one. I'm sure many of you know the story of Natalia Olshanska, the founder of the Fanbury brand, which produces the organic Cornelian cherry product. During the full-scale war, the business remained on occupied territory and the family suffered a terrible loss. Their son was killed while defending Ukraine. Despite everything, Natalia did not give up and continued her business in the memory of her son. The family built a new processing plant near Zaporizhzhia and established cooperation with local farms that now grow cornel for processing. The company is now producing a new range of superfoods freeze-dried foods, jams, sauces, and drinks based on organic Cornell. I'm sure you will all agree this is a genuine Ukraine success story achieved in the face of adversity. The UK will work with the government to reshape SME policies so they are even more responsive to business needs like these. This includes vital support to export-oriented businesses, which will be vital for driving Ukraine's future economic growth and boosting foreign exchange. The UK is proud to collaborate in this work through our Good Governance Fund, most notably by supporting the Dear Business Centre in Warsaw, which assists Ukrainian SMEs in growing their export potential and accessing foreign markets. The new SME development strategy that we will hear more about this morning is designed to be inclusive, promoting the economic activity of women, people with disabilities and veterans. We strongly endorse this inclusive approach and will shortly be launching under the GGF the second phase of our Women Business Empowerment Programme, Grow 2.0, a programme to support women entrepreneurs like Natalia Olshanska who want to launch, develop and scale up their businesses. Looking ahead, we must all lean in and help support the government of Ukraine to deliver on its SME strategy in as coordinated way as possible, including through the newly constituted SME Alliance and Sector Working Group. By working together in a collaborative manner, we can help support Ukraine business to thrive and to deliver the inclusive, innovative and green recovery that the country will need for its future. It's been a great pleasure to address you all this morning, and rest assured, the United Kingdom will remain a steadfast partner of Ukraine on this economic recovery journey, both today, during wartime, and after victory. Slava Ukraini.
Стефан Косов, thank you so much. Дякуємо. Ну що ж, пані та панове.
So, ladies and gentlemen, and from this time on, we proceed to the main part of our event. And this next part, I start the morning from spoilers, but nevertheless, it's about two things. First of all, Yulia Sviridenko will present the economic policy during war, and this is the main topic. And after, in the second part, we will talk from the businesses. We'll put questions to the government representatives. So let's start with presentation from Julia Sviridenko. Right, support me because I'm a little bit stage fright because there are so many of you. Okay, thank you. That's better. So let's start with some numbers that you already know. Is the GDP indicator. We'll remember the historic drop of GDP in 2022, minus 30%. Not many people believe that the Ukrainian economy will be able to rebound, but in 2023, I think you've done the impossible together with our partners, and as a result, our economy started to rebound. 5.3 in 2023. In 2024, over the last indicators, plus 4%, and for the next year, if you see the draft budget for 2025, we are also planning an increase. At the moment, the number is 2.7. The National Bank, Central Bank is still more optimistic, but still the trend is to grow. What has facilitated for the Ukrainian economy, regardless of those constant shelling and the hits and the impacts and the military threat, continues to grow? It's due to the resilience of Ukrainian business and, of course, the support of our partners. And I think a significant and important factor is also recovery of the maritime exports. We all understand the problems that Ukrainian businesses faced. We know that in order to restore the infrastructure assets destroyed, we need $150 billion to do that. We evaluate that the territory is contaminated by the mines. It takes 50% of GDP of 2021. We understand what unprecedented risks we faced as a state. Of course, the outflow of people, 6.7 Ukrainians abroad, is a huge challenge for the government and the Ministry of Economy. And 50% of businesses, even more, they put staff deficit as problem number one, and mismatched skills of the candidates on the labor market and the requirements at the job. So that's why we have this discrepancy resulting in uncertain unemployment and understaffing. So looking for sources of funding, we see that we have increased expenditures for defense and security in 3.4 and law enforcement. So that means all those discussions in society that we are looking for additional sources of funding. So you see foreign financial assistance, international reserves, and some risks that we have is the decreasing international financial assistance. I'm just telling you the factors that we have to work with in order to understand how should our policy respond to these challenges. The objective that the government is saying is setting, and maybe the whole economic bloc is setting, is to retain the speed of GDP growth, at least not to lose momentum. And our ambitious goal is to be more self-sufficient, is to become more self-sufficient. So that is expressed in specific KPI, in attracting more investments. We calculated that by 2027 we have to increase plus 30 billion of investments, a more equalized trade balance, and decreased unemployment, not the 18.3% that we have now. And especially the more making our economy more sophisticated. The KPI are understandable. We understand that commodities-based economy does not lead you to a prosperous country. And having all those unprecedented challenges that I mentioned before, that needs that our actions, our response should also be unprecedented, which is something new and inventive. So part of this challenge is covered by our policy, which is well known. It's a Made in Ukraine policy, which basically unites several important areas and projects in them. The main objective is the facilitate, so growing and fostering industry and production, investments in the real sector of economy, incentivizing non-commodities based, so value-added based businesses. 45 billion hryvnias is the average, the sum total of all the programs and projects that are elite in the budget 2024. You'll see them on the screen. Part of them is well known to you, as the well-known 5279 program. There are our grantees in the audience, the processing companies. There are those who use the compensation or reimbursement program that reimbursed agricultural equipment to stimulate Ukrainian machine building. The program School Bus, and you might be surprised why e-housing is here, because e-housing is the program that facilitates growth of construction market and fosters economy. We're going to talk about focusing on a primary market, because investments in primary market gives us economic growth, and the national cashback. I take it more as a targeted social support of Ukrainian population, which helps on one hand, on the other hand stimulates Ukrainian production and more consumption, more consumers open to Ukrainian-produced goods, both domestic and foreign. So while the presentation is loading up. So this is important. When we mention that we need to develop non-commodity based export, it's important to have access to markets. and the work of Export Credit Agency. If we talk about the access to markets, we can see the plan that we have in the pipelines. It's Swiss, Arab Emirates, Japan, Qatar, Lebanon, Tunisia. About the trade agreements that already been enacted, Canada from July 1st, 2024. Great Britain continued till 2029, and we plan till the end of the year to update number of agreements. First of all, Switzerland, Iceland, and Norway. We relaunched the Ukrainian Export Credit Agency. I'm thankful to our MPs from the Economic Committee. I want to tell you that on Friday, we signed the first agreement to ensure against military risks for equipment, energy equipment for Ukrainian companies. And that insurance was facilitated through Export Credit Agency. We hope there will be more cases like that. I personally believe, and I like that this energy area is one of those risks, unprecedented challenges that I haven't yet named, but we all remember it, is the loss of generating capacity. 50% of generating capacity, those 9 gigawatts that we lost, and we have to recover and expand. Now, the Made in Ukraine policy also includes the element of getting more investments in the real sector of economy. And I have some good news, because finally those tools that we adopted a few years ago, they started finally working this year. And we have some first funding of an industrial park in Dnipro. By the end of this year, we plan 12 additional industrial parks where we will fund, as a state, the spending to connect to the grids, other communication. And I also want to know that this instrument has started working and it's already producing results. And what we say here, supporting investments with significant investment, this is Invest Nanny or Invest Nurses. We have 2 agreements that cabinet ministers in the nearest month will submit for the governmental approval. That despite the war, businesses continue to grow, continue to invest, continue to fund projects. But the new tool that also emerged this year, Ukrainian Investment Framework, it emerged thanks to our partnership with the EU. We, together with our colleagues, made a plan of economy development for the next 4 years, and this plan allows us to be eligible for funding from EU. Part of it covers budget deficit, but it's also a very important pillar, which is important and interesting primarily for you, for businesses. It's the available loans from IFIs and DFIs and very low interest rates. It's basically preferential interest rates, and they are covered by guarantees from Euro Commission. We have agreed with our colleagues, with the EU, that from this sum of guarantees that's been approved, 15% goes to support the SMEs, 20% of guarantee goes to support green projects, and 25% of guarantees to fund projects of public sector of economy. Main sectors where we believe we must streamline investments to have expedited growth is energy, critical materials, transport, industry, agri-food, and IT. Today in the evening, based in Kiev School of Economy, we'll have presentation of handbook, how businesses should and must and can join Ukrainian investment framework, how to submit there, how to comply with criteria, what specifically criteria the investment project should comply with to be eligible for the funding. September is we start the call for proposals. So, dear colleagues, pretty welcome bankable projects, communication via IFIs, DFIs, support from European Commission to have the chance to get this funding. We think that multiplication effect from these guarantees are the additional 40 billion of investments in Ukraine economy, $40 billion. So that's our Ukraine project operational framework. What it is, we have created a strategic investment council, which currently is under the coordination of Prime Minister. Our task of the government officials is to make the portfolio of projects. Primarily, it's about public funding in order to be clear and understandable idea what's funded from the state budget, what's funded by the donors. Because for the donors and for the state, there should be clearance that there is this pipeline of projects, that there are areas, and there is clear prioritization. And that's why we did it that way. So in the process of doing it on this list, on this project, that we realized that it's a big problem, that there is a certain problem, and not everybody, both public and private companies, can use the same guarantees from EU, just because, unfortunately, the level of project preparation does not comply with. So together with our partners, this year we will launch project cooperation facility. It will be the units who will help communities, central authorities to create bankable projects. It's an important task. It's not a quick task, but we focus on it. We have a number of projects. If you talk about the private sector, then it's JP Morgan wants to create project preparation facility with the World Bank. It's going to be more about regional project. EBRD will help the central authorities, executive authorities, to help draft these projects to get the funding. Because it's very important now that we have negotiations with the EU, and there will be structural funds of EU. It's important to have high absorption capacity. And there should be nice bankable projects. Otherwise, we will just not be able to use these projects. It's a real problem that we see. And we understand how we will resolve it. So we mentioned a lot about the necessity to implement insurance against military risk, the matrix of insurance tools to protect against war-related risks. From our international partners, MICA, DFC, they were the first, and of course, export credit agencies, both in Ukraine and internationally. They not indicate how many risks and what risks they cover. So I will share this information, of course, is very relevant. And strengthening the labor market. We all understand that for the most of the entrepreneurs present, SMEs, this is issue number one. So our objective is to update the labor code. Another spoiler, Tatiana, deputy who is dealing with 5 or 6 books of labor code are ready. It's a fundamental work. It's not just one law. It's a codified act that we're now discussing with our partners. And of course, we will begin, I think, from next week, we will conduct discussions with the businesses. Next, our partners united into the Skill Alliance. It's a partnership of our donors, colleagues, in order to provide support of training and retraining of Ukrainians, because the problem of structural and unemployment can be resolved only through systems of retraining. Vouchers were introduced by Employment Center, Headhunting Center, where you could get 30,000 hryvnias for additional skills and qualifications. There are many Ukrainians who want to acquire another job to get employment. Microgrants were mentioned before. Vlastna Sprava, 19,000 microgrants have been allocated during this program. And we understand that the veterans are a powerhouse of economy, potentially. And we work with the employers and the veterans to decrease their threshold and entry, so that entrepreneurs who can't have proper conditions for the veterans, we provide reimbursement for the workspace facilitation. We understand that this is not enough, so there's a separate component, grants for veterans, that we have in the room, those who have actively joined this program and not only got the employment, but are creating new jobs. And we also record that the return of Ukrainians will have in itself, will be part of these, made with these policies that are implemented. Because Ukrainians will not return if Ukraine is not secure. That's the task for the army. And we're very thankful for them, for their for their activity, for what they do, for their work, we couldn't be having a chance to sit here. Of course, employment for those Ukrainians that are now abroad, creating jobs, bridging the skill gaps, providing trainings, and then housing program. In the Ministry of Economy, we have Ukrainian financial housing corporations that has 12,000 mortgage housing offers 20 billion worth of 20 billion hryvnias of total amount. So we plan to promote these programs to create incentives for Ukrainians to return. And Ministry of Economy, we founded a program, Create Ukraine, which allows the younger generation that currently stays abroad to use this opportunity to come work at the Ministry of Economy. And I can tell you there are incredible stories, people who are Cambridge students. They have excellent higher education, but they understand that they want to implement their talent, apply themselves at public administration. And so we want to create this trend of Ukrainians coming back home. I think this is objective number one, not only for our ministry, but of course it's objective number one for the entire Ukrainian government.
And just to finish, I want to say that we all do realize that donors help us, and this is unprecedented support. Macrofinancial assistance in this year is $37 billion. It reached $37 billion from donors, but we fund our army, we fund our victory at the expense of taxes and duties. So the stronger the economy, the closer we are to victory, the stronger we are. And again, I want to say big thank you for everything you're doing, and I would love to have an open discussion with you today. Okay, so if those economic areas that we introduced, if you didn't see the tools you need in those to support your specific business, your sector, together with colleagues, with MPs, we are ready to engage to improvement of legislation, amending it, because we have to be very active to give you a chance to survive and evolve. Thank you so much for your attention. Thank you, Miss Yulia. I don't know if you should leave the stage, because right now we're coming directly to the dialogue that we've spoken a lot about. Okay, look, friends, what's going to happen now? So we will have a dialogue of business and government right in front of your eyes. Again, I saw you taking photo of slides. This is not confidential. You all will get not only this presentation, but everything that we'll introduce. You'll be able to read it with your colleagues. Yeah, scan it in details. Okay, so now we go directly to the dialogue. Yulia Sviridenko will answer the questions from you that you ask in your questions. You can actually delegate this task to a person who knows that. Okay, the editor-in-chief of Forbes Ukraine, Boris Davidenko. And I will ask Boris and Yulia, please go back to stage. Now on the screen we have a QR code. People, you can scan it and actually ask a question. Boris will accumulate them. Okay, we don't have so much time to answer all of them. Yeah, but in any case, all the questions will be answered. You ask them now, some will be answered by Boris now, and some answers you'll get in written form later. Okay, so this is the process that we start. Boris, the floor is yours. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you for the invitation, and thank you for actually giving me this important mission, responsible mission, talking on behalf of business. I can only speak on behalf of the business magazine, but to have business questions per se, okay, I just want you to ask your questions. And we will definitely answer those, me and Yulia. Okay, I had a chance basically to read the presentation in advance. I was told to check it and scan it very skeptically and ask a couple of inconvenient questions, okay? So are you ready? As a journalist, I should do that. So the first slide was about the speed of economy growth. You said that we expect 2.7% in 2025. 6 months ago, in your forecasts, and National Bank and IMF and basically the cabinet were much more optimistic, like twice more optimistic. 5.5 they forecasted for 2025. Okay, what actually happened? Why it's a little bit worse now with the forecast? You know, buddies, I ask a question to our macroeconomic experts, and they always emotionally respond saying, well, look, during the war we're growing, they say. So this is unprecedented. The forecast, we change it, actually, and it depends on the assumptions that we have for the next year. Honestly, National Bank hopes that in 2025 we'll have at least 4% of growth. We now shifted the roles. We are now more reserved with numbers, but it's growth still, per se, and it's growth that will take place at the expense of, we hope, the green quarter. It will support the process. Business already learned how to function under the deficit of energy supply. So we will continue with the reforms and indicators. We have a Ukraine facility and with other international obligations. And, of course, we'll do everything to business support program to resume. I hope in 2025 it'll be there as well. And we think it will give us at least 2.7% of growth. Okay. It's pretty obvious that this worsened forecast, it's more for the energy supply problems, yes, and the infrastructure disruptions, and the war is still there. So it's not a question for you, but I think it's more for the Ministry of Economy. So you influence the economy with the state programs. Okay, you showed 9 or 10 of these on the slide. I know there are much more of those. 45 billion for 2024, not that, like 0.6% of GDP, not so little, but okay. This Friday, we saw the draft budget for 2025, and the money's not there. Okay, I guess not for a single program. Without money, how can you have these business support state programs? Very expensive. Okay, it's hard without money. Yeah, to support business, of course, you're right. But the programs that we've seen today, industrial parks, the support of investment-loaded projects, all these programs were funded at the expense of special fund, not the general fund of budget, of the residual money from the unemployment fund. Now we can see that the residual money of 2024 can be used for programs. But again, we understand that it won't be enough to fully meet our commitments that we have. Okay, entrepreneurs have this request. They really want this to be resumed. So this will be a hard negotiation process with the Ministry of Finance, but I do hope that business will become advocates at some point in MPs, because without the programs of business support, we cannot expect to accelerate the economic growth. Without the programs which show its high efficiency. 579 basically is the only mechanism of loans for SMEs in Ukraine. So this has to stay. It has to be there. We will transform it, as MOE did it a couple of times within a year, so focusing more of investment goal. And recently, a month ago, we expanded 579. Now, energy equipment to be procured as well. In the portfolio, we've seen instantly that for investment projects, its share doubled in the portfolio. 579 should stay. Cashback for agricultural equipment and machinery. So this program stimulates Ukrainian heavy industry. And I'll be an advocate for this program to be there as well, because it has to be there. Just like industrial parks, invest nannies, we'll use these transitional residues and we'll have to ask for additional funding from Ministry of Finance to ensure economic support or financial support for business. Okay, let's speak of the most discussed, heavily discussed thing. Cashback for Ukrainian products. You launched it on September 2nd. Do we keep it in 2025, this cashback? Yeah, it's still there. Yeah. It's in beta testing. On September 2nd, we started the beta testing, and we already observe that 1.2 million Ukrainians, now even more, who actually launched the cards. In Dia, some of them said that this is like the card, the payment card, 600,000 people. And under beta testing process, the cashback, 2 million hryvnias of cashback for Ukrainians. We tested. By October, we're testing it in this mode, and then we have a full launch. But the very fact that 1.2 million Ukrainians actually requested these cards, and we have so many producers like who applied and registered in the system, it tells us that we have a demand for that type of product. So as I told you in my presentation, I think this is basically, it's a properly targeted support of Ukrainian people, because this cashback, in your card that you can see, it's reflected there in Dia, you can actually use it for services. You can pay for utility bills, or you can buy tickets, railway tickets, whatever. You can actually buy, you can pay for something else, some other services. So this is a proper targeted support. We'll see if it's effective by the end of the year. We'll understand then what budget do we need for 2025. But of no doubts, with no speculations, this is our priority. And this program in 2025 will exist because 169,000 of products in the program, it's a huge number, every day grows. So it seems to me when consumers are interested, just like producers, this program should stay. Okay, what is the range? What numbers we speak about for 2025, let's say? You want to have a scandal. You want to make it scandalous, okay. Okay, it depends, of course. Yeah, let's be very cautious. It's a thin ice. Okay, it's business scenario. We launched beta testing on September 2nd. In October, I'll come to you to business brunch, whatever, or like, and I'll tell you what's the range, because the limit cap for accumulated cashback in month, 3,000 hryvnias, okay? Everything depends on the number of cards and activity. And people's activity. Okay, if this 1 million uses the cashback fully, 3 billion per month? No, they will not use the cashback with 3,000 per month, because the average price is other. When we see the purchasing, like the retail network. Okay, buddies, we will use 3 billion that we have in the budget for this year. You said that you can buy various stuff and services. You can donate. Forbes Ukraine. Can you buy a magazine? It's a beautiful question, actually. I think you'll be able to subscribe. Will you pay me for advertising? I love this program even more right now. Okay, so hard questions to be asked. Good, I'm doing that. Trade agreements, okay? So editors ask me, like saying, okay, do we need to have these news and trade agreements every time? Do we need to put that? We're putting this, they're concluded. What are the results of that? We never put news about the results of trade agreements. Do you have evidence or proof that these are functional? Okay, evidence, it's to you. Taras, okay, for example, Great Britain. We showed it on the screen. The first year of agreement that we have, 62% of growth, okay? If you check the general export amount, 65% of export of goods in those countries where we have these agreements concluded, on free trade agreements, I mean. So we have evidence, of course. Yeah, it's functional. All right. Now, briefly, I don't understand. You explain that our export credit agency funded the purchasing of energy equipment. So Export Credit Agency funded the import. Did something change in the mission? No, it didn't. Honestly, the enterprises they funded, these are export-oriented, and this is the key thing. And that is why such enterprises are entitled to ask the agency to get that type, to cover that type of risks, yeah? Industrial parks, nice slide. Those who live in Ukraine for quite a long time, they remember that this, how the state manipulates with those free zones because the weak state in 2000s could not control that, so it was such a lousy result. Okay, so stealing basically the amount of GDP percent. So why are we pretty sure right now that these industrial parks, maybe these will make rich richer? Okay, those entrepreneurs who actually even don't need that support. Honestly, I have a different idea about industrial parks. I see it differently. We spoke of that. I identified these investors working with parks. Who are these people and companies related to these parks in the registry? Investors, first of all, handling real estate. For them, it's a chance actually to provide various premises and areas for lease. Second type, those developing the parks for their subcontractors for the whole supply chain. Third, when community, powerful community, which is financially autonomous, they want to have this magnet to attract investments. And we work in 3 areas and we can see how it develops. Honestly, I don't think that this will be a special economic zone. It's a different thing because investors, either investors or founders of parks, they take very clear commitments to create jobs, to engage specific number of companies, and in these conditions, only then we can compensate as a state 50% for energy network integration, frontline territories, 80%. They take the commitment. Who controls the commitments? In those, I guess they had, yeah. We as a state have to control that. Okay. Question. There was a nice big slide on insurance. There were dozens of companies. Correct me. We've been thinking how MIGA is entering the Ukrainian market, and I guess there were 2 agreements then, like Dragon Capital, Industrial Park, was insured by it, and Superhumans. And that's it. Okay, why there are so much more providers than agreements? Ukrainian business does not need insurance. If we speak of international ECAs, export operations are insured by entrepreneurs in their countries, though, that supply equipment to Ukraine. This is one story, and we saw it on the screen. You're right. MIGA DFC. MIGA is targeted at foreign investors. DFC, both Ukrainian and foreign. You remember we had discussions that it's high price of insurance. Second, our projects did not comply with the requirements of agencies, and you're right. But we have 4 DFC agreements for MIGA, okay, big agreements. And I have more high hopes that E.ON, as a big player in reinsuring market, will actually use the DFC guarantee that they mentioned at Berlin conference, and there will be a chance for Ukrainian insurers to provide insurance for war risks to SMEs. I hope that by the end of the year this product will emerge, and it will be in high demand, and higher demand than unclear big institutions with their bureaucracy and super high and tight demand for Ukrainian companies. I place higher hopes for Ukrainian insurance and on reinsuring than MIGA and DFC. But this is a good result. We need to check it objectively, see it objectively. Now 8 agreements. 4 will be finalized more from MIGA and DFC by the end of the year. So our companies will be insured, so SMEs by 1% will be the price. Okay, now it's hard. We had the slide on Ukraine facility, then Ukraine investment framework, where it said that approximately 9 billion must come to business. Also, it said that 1.4 billion will reach by the end of 2024 with the results. But if we check 1.4 billion, these not just like go to new business, but to expand the current programs, super energy and top up. We just understood that we will not use money otherwise, and we just additionally funded the projects that we had in our project pipeline. Why can't you do it in 2025? This is simple. You already have partners. You can additionally fund. Ukrenergo can build and build. And this wasn't our idea, honestly, and I'll be very cautious with this. These should be top-ups. Yeah, this was not our idea. And it happened so. European Commission said that starting from the end of September, they accumulate applications from IFIs, EFIs, competing with each other for guarantees, and to implement projects in energy, agro sector, critical material, IC, defense, unfortunately. For me, it's one of the most perspective for investment, but unfortunately cannot be covered with that money. So we just need to have another source, okay? Yeah, for the next year. All the time we're talking that like it's a guarantee or a credit. So if you talk to business, if it's more or less wide, transparent business, let's say, it can engage funding cheaper in Ukraine as well. Do you stipulate a program that money shall be used for capital funding for equity? Yes. Funding for private equity funds. These will be available under these guarantees from European Commission. Okay, I guess we can speak of this. Recently, we even wrote about that, like Serhiy Budkin. He makes a fund, he creates a fund, and I guess the part of the funding he wants to engage, yeah. Some share of it, the share of that, and some private. Yeah, it can work, but Serhiy Budkin, let's say, Serhiy must compete with other private equity funds that want to be created to emerge.
And the last question for me is business-related questions that are more complex, more interesting. The last topic here is labor and staffing resources. So my question, you said we have unemployment 18.3%, and then later you said that in all the surveys, the main thing that businesses need is people. In a country where there's 18.3% unemployment, that's huge unemployment. And we need people. So these things, they are challenging. And you say we will retrain people, but if there's such high employment, maybe these people don't want to work too much. And it's not so much to work to use them than rather to Ministry of Social Policy. Not so much, no. You think the Ministry of Social Policy deals with the unemployment. No, it's Ministry of Economy that deals with the unemployment problem. The Ministry of Social Policy is doing their work so well that people don't want to go to work. So we'll give credit to Alexander Zolnovich. All right, but the situation you describe, let's go, is structural unemployment. I will repeat that because there is no other better definition. It's when there are people, but their qualification is not in demand on the labor market. That can be only remedied by retraining, by additional training to people. So I like that businesses support this initiative. We want to develop professional education. So we want businesses to join it, to professional high schools, vocational educational establishments, to update their curricula for those professions that are in demand, so that in 6 to 8 months you have a qualified person whose job, whose skill set is in demand. So we need to get people back. So the problem is to find qualified people. And there are many other trends that, you know what I'm talking about, that don't help us, don't help official employment, alluding to conscription. So we know the percentage of employment. We cut the unemployment checks up to 3 months, from 12 to 3, because we need to stimulate Ukrainians somehow to go find employment. And we should give them the vacancies and the voucher up to 30,000 hryvnias to get additional qualification, to get some courses, to train, to acquire some technical profession within 6 months to find employment. So that's the kind of answers we're looking and providing. So let's now proceed to questions that our guests asked. They're complex. So what's the economic policy in the ministry that is planned for in military industrial? Do we believe it to be, perceive it to be a technological potential? Yeah, when I showed on Ukraine facility, because we all understand that it's the locomotive for growth, but our capability doesn't allow us to buy all those. So we can only produce armaments somewhat in the size of $20 billion per year, but we can only provide contracts only to part of it. So that's why this initiative emerged. Our projects united around the idea of buying Ukrainian weapons. There's Denmark, there's Canada. Then we want our strategic partners as Great Britain and join the initiative. And the part of the money that is to internal domestic project, they should be aimed at procuring Ukrainian produced weapons. So if you have any values to back this, if not, then let's proceed. No, I won't tell you raw number. So about $350 million, that's something we've managed to fundraise. But, you know, primarily we hope for working with our American partners and finding agreements and part of them to fund instead of their vendors, they can invest in Ukrainian ones. So we expect some positive decisions from them. For us, it's highly important, the economy and defense capabilities. What is the situation of 579 for small and medium enterprises? That's a great question. You don't need to have all the numbers ready. You can promise to provide some numbers in 20-30 minutes. Yeah, we will do that. We have weekly reports that we get from commercial banks. Because energy sector is funded not only through 579, but 19 banks that united to provide standardized products for the energy, 15.7% for cogeneration, for alternative sources of energy. So I think we can provide complexes. So here's a responsible city dweller. For now, the funding for individual reserve energy supply is only available for owners of individual houses. It's not available for apartments and condominiums. When can we do away with this kind of discrimination? I'm thinking how to after a while, yes, soon, I think we can look at this separately, because I thought we We could, I think we can regulate, we regulated already regarding the installation of equipment. Active consumer program has been aware, so that you can feed to the system the excess generation. Well, if not, then there are some things to work on. Although sometimes I may not always understand how to resolve this, because there are so there is an apartment, there's a balcony, and the inhabitant wants to build some additional solar panels without the co-owners of the condominium. It's not possible. Well, if you went through this procedure, you have to get agreement from all the. So, what are the priorities to increase exports of high processing part? So, processing and value added. How do you plan to stimulate it? Well, to make our economy more value-added oriented. So we're doing that through 579. So that's for value-added products, for equipment, and export credit agency. Anti-dumping events, we should look at a specific market. So let's turn all the commodities, all the grain into flour and sell it without value. It's an idea that doesn't work anymore. So so Ministry of Economy didn't come up with the idea, let's turn all the grain into flour. Let's provide the work for a corridor, insurance for military risks, unity. So our response to facilitate through financial tools that the companies who want to go into processing have this opportunity. I feel this question to journalists who listened to part of your presentation. So national cashback funding of the program is happening using the donor funds or the state budget. All expenditures don't relate to defense. They are funded by international partners. We cannot facilitate generated taxes. We can only get it for military. So international assistance that comes from donor, cannot be used to pay for the military or buy military equipment or weapons. So what do you think is the main potential of Ukrainian businesses? Ukrainian potential, as they joke about Ukraine, it's a country with a growing potential all the time between what we want to be and where we are. What's the biggest advantage for Ukrainian businesses? You know, I remember when we all traveled with the colleagues and promoted Ukraine. We talked about cheap workforce. This war has changed the paradigm completely. We are not cheap workforce. We're very innovative. We're tech savvy, and we're very resilient. The experience that we're getting will be an investment in our export potential. For new armaments, there is humanitarian demining. We as the Ministry of Economy are doing that. When we started doing this, and we decided how to expand on demining so that we return agricultural lands, there was no machinery. Now there are dozens of Ukrainian producers there, and it's not just machine, it's new standards, new approaches to the one big topic of demining, everything about drones, about military preparation of our army. It's a huge export potential. And our biggest asset is people. Thank you for great answers, and thank you for love that you have for Ukrainian businesses and entrepreneurs. Right. Thank you so much. Thank you, Boris, for this conversation. Boris Davidenko, Yulia Sviridenko, Julia. There's just a minute, and we proceed to a very important part of our event. So we received a lot of questions on this QR code, and of course it may take the entire day, but you will get answers to all the questions in text. So don't be concerned if your question will not be asked right now. So there's a special moment in our event because we are at the stage where we renown and remunerate those businesses who drive economy forward, who demonstrated their resilience, their responsibility in the difficult times of our country. Business associations. Madam Yulia Sviridenko. So a couple of words of introduction before we proceed to. I wasn't convinced and that wouldn't be cringy that we give rewards from the Ministry of Economy, awards, but we often say so many words of gratitude to our partners, and it's the right thing to do. But sometimes we forget to say the words of thanks to Ukrainian entrepreneurs and businesses. I love Ukrainian businesses, and I believe you are shareholders of our ministry. So it's up to you what the economic policy will be, what will be the areas for supporting business, and we wanted to retain this element of rewarding the best, because most of these companies I visited personally, I was there. They are very courageous, very resilient people who often work in right next to the front line, in 20 kilometers or 15 kilometers, but they continue working, and they keep the economic front lines. They are part of our defense capacity. And that's why I wanted to say thanks for. So let's proceed to provide awards. Arstav Wolf, CEO Kormotech, who care about our animals, is now part of top 50 in pet food industry ratings. They are in more than 40 countries in the world. It's a face of high quality Ukrainian products for pets and animals. Sergey Kalapa, CEO Elvorty from Kropivnitsky. It's one of the biggest companies in the region, big taxpayer, it's a leader in agriculture and machine building, exporting in more than 30 countries in the world. Just recently, the company celebrated 150 years we want to talk about the more. So one of the companies that is part of Arab Wall Street created a Ukrainian excavator named Alex. They needed experts, so when they were short of staff in Krapinski, they founded a private economic technological institute that builds engineers and economists for their company. Let's give them a round of applause. Natalia Antemenko, Executive Director, Yatrain, one of the leading meat processing companies with full cycle processing, maintains high standards in quality and innovation. Company creates jobs. Right now there are more than 2,000 people employed, paying, so helping form a positive image of Ukrainian producers. This reward goes to Vyacheslav Klimov, General CEO Nova Pochta. They deliver everything from small packages to big cargoes. They do it quickly and reliably. In total, 1.5 million packages parceled per day. So it's an economic driver for economy, not only logistics, but the group has Ukrainian companies, financial, IT. They create thousands of jobs, pay billions of taxes. Dmitro Lashenko, founder of Delight LLC, machine building company producing cars and vehicles for forestry and utilities. Before the Russian invasion, they were located in Dergachi Kharkiv region, right close to the border with that crazy country. Dmitro was providing logistics to people with equipment. Now he's powerful production line in Poltava. Delight is a great example of really organizing Japanese management in the production. It's worth seeing with your very own eyes. Vitaly Melnik, founder of a private company Trans Autodent, which is a vendor of trucks and truck auxiliary vehicles, and also operate non-big logistics.
He used previously, before war, to make vehicles for agriculture, but now he supports the military. In the first days of war, he was bringing the military equipment with his vehicles to the most distant places. Vitaly always stays optimistic no matter what, and he believes in his country. With specific actions, he's showing that. Congrats. The award goes to Taras Panasenko, Director General of LLC Вигідна покупка, Aurora Retail Network, the network of multi-markets. So we have retail people as well. This is an example of company that started as a small shop of some nice small stuff. Now it's one of the biggest retail networks in the country, giving taxes, making new jobs in each region. Микола Синиця gets the award, LLC Cola Company. The example of successful family business. And they now evolved in a big international company. They've been doing it for almost 30 years. They don't only sell millions of zoo products in various countries, and they have some unique products in the market, changing the industry. Gods of Marketing. It's the only brand that actually can be found at official website of NASA, okay? Despite the war challenges in 2022, their capacities were destroyed by Russians, but even then, they still stayed in Chernihiv. A round of applause, please. The award goes to Olena Taranenko, Director of Food Company, LLC Chatamau. They make bread. You've never even seen and even imagined that bread can be like that, as they say. Not only Ukraine gets their bread. Up to 30 tons of frozen bread per day, exporting it and developing the bread culture in the world. And they show resilience during the wartime. In March 2022, their factory suffered from Russian shelling, and the line was almost destroyed, production line, but soon they managed to return to work thanks to grant from the MOE for the processing business development. The award goes to Serhiy Shevchenko, Director General of LLC Aramis. Serhiy represents the new generation of Ukrainian entrepreneurs. Aramis company was founded by his father, then led by Serhiy later. Aramis is the Maybach in laser metal cutting equipment. You can actually get these around all Ukraine in various metal processing enterprises, exported abroad even. Serhiy studied at Stanford in a program for Ukrainian entrepreneurs, and he uses the knowledge in Cherkasy. He continues to invest in production despite the war. And the award goes to Viktor Sheremet, head of Farmers Enterprise Hercules. This is the farming enterprise. They don't just grow grain, but they contribute a lot to the agricultural sector in Ukraine. They export their products, and it makes Ukraine one of the key players in the global agro market. They support hundreds of jobs, ensuring the promotion of agriculture in Ukraine, which is critically important for our economy. And a round of applause to all of our awardees. And to Yulia Sveredenko, thank you for this part of our today's meeting. Economic policy of Ukraine, recovery at wartime. We can check the clock. The first part is over. And you realize that we are a little bit out of the schedule, but I do hope that it will not influence our pace, so we can have a little bit of rest. Half an hour for coffee break, and in 30 minutes we'll be so happy to see you in this room, and you'll get some more of interesting stuff. Presentations and discussions and some more of awards. We'll have it in the second part, half an hour of coffee break.
Так, рівно в 12:15 хочеться розпочати наступну частину, тому пильнуйте час. Смачної кави і плідного спілкування.
Ladies and gentlemen, greetings again. Thank you for being fast. I'm pretty sure the coffee break was really intense. I saw some discussions, and I hope that these will definitely impact our Ukrainian economy. So we'll continue discussing this. We are at the event dedicated to economic policy of Ukraine, wartime recovery. So I'll share a tool now. On your badges, you have a QR code. You can scan it. You'll go to the landing of the event, where after the event itself, you'll get all presentations collected, everything that we introduced to you today, and we'll have all the photos, okay? So please don't lose the badge, because I'm pretty sure it will be interesting for you. We start the second part of the meeting, and this part will be actually more dedicated to digitization of state services for business and supporting SMEs. As honestly, despite the challenges faced by our country every day, the state is still implementing digital solutions, which actually simplify access, make it more transparent and clear and fast for business. We'll speak mostly of how these initiatives will help entrepreneurs to adapt, to evolve at wartime. Okay, I will ask the first speaker to come on the block. We have a couple of personal presentations and then a big discussion. People are gathering. Thank you. So, in this format, we will shape our activities. Okay, the very first speaker that goes to us, Alexei Sobolev, First Deputy Minister of Economy. You're welcome. Thank you so much, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you for gathering at this event today. And recently, as a government, we adopted the SMEs development strategy. Like 9 months, we've been processing this, and I'll briefly introduce that. First of all, for you to know that it exists. Secondly, to understand that this is super practical, and everything that's put in this paper, we'll stick to that. When they ask about governmental priorities in development of SMEs and entrepreneurship in Ukraine, these are the priorities for all of us, for us and partners. Okay, very first thing just to mention why SMEs are important. Because SMEs take 99% of enterprises, which is logical. Yeah, but 51% of GDP, 64% share of SMEs in added value, 72% in the purchase products, and 82% of people have jobs in SMEs. So this sector actually creates the resilience that partners mention quite often. So our task basically is to ensure that this foundation functions for the economy to grow. Without SMEs, it's impossible. So which are the key problems and challenges generated by the full-scale war, Russian aggression against Ukraine? So the key problems is significant decline of demand, lack of funding, logistic difficulties, and destruction of assets, damage of assets, aggravating the problems for SMEs. On the slide, you can see one of the surveys. We have many of them, but approximately 85% of those say that they have the demand decline for their products and they look for new markets. So we have to help them to search for the markets. More than 20% of enterprises have their expired payments. They need new financial tools to solve that. Okay. Funding is basically one of the most acute challenges for SMEs, according to the surveys. More than 40% of companies feel that they have limited access to banks funding, and they don't have enough of turnover capital. So another challenge is energy turbulence, energy supply turbulence due to regular shellings. Therefore, they need new products, new funding, additional turnover assets actually to ensure that they have enough of energy supply for winter season. War led to huge logistic problems because new supply channels, new paths, the import-export paths are changing, and in government policy, this should be considered. But despite the challenges related to war, Ukrainian and many foreign partners, Ukrainian entrepreneurs and foreign partners we hear all the time at meetings that this is basically a miracle, that during this large-scale aggression economy is growing, and this is a miracle, how resilient SMEs are. Last year, we had a separate study led by World Bank, and they checked, and they saw that SME sector is recovering much faster and is much more resilient than big companies. Of course, because the damage of large assets in SMEs, these damages, it's easier to cover and recover. Okay, 57% of SMEs were fully operational. The first year, the second year, 85% were already fully functional, so they restored their activities, and it helps us to retain jobs. It actually helps to reach the resilience for the economy. Okay, the aim of the strategy to basically fix the damage, solve the problems that SMEs have, and 4 key areas: recovering and simplifying the business operations, promoting the innovative development and digitization and green transition, everything for the future, human capital development, and various measures, and of course enhancing the competitiveness and export increasing for our SMEs. And I'll tell more about that, but our task basically when we draft and discuss the strategy, again, for 9 months we've been doing this all together. We wanted to make it, let's say, more focused, not very abstract, these 4 goals we have. Entrepreneurs realize that these are the most prioritized ones, and the government as well. So, the first part, simplifying and recovering the business processes, business operations. So, the key measures: new additional financial programs, so ensuring the access to money, war risk insurance, online tools for business plans drafting to ensure that we increase the number of SMEs with access to bank funding. Because we know that in banking system, they have extra liquidity, but SMEs capacity, they have fewer capacity to recover it than we have money in the banking system. So with digital tools, we need to help SMEs to do that. Transparent rules and huge deregulation, we'll speak in the very end about that, will simplify the lives of businesses for more companies to spend less time to interact with the state and to get and have less of that bureaucracy, to grow faster. So promoting the innovative development, promoting the development of human capital entrepreneurship. Yeah, it's about solving the staff problem. We need to have new educational problems for training, requalification, e-residency, social entrepreneurship program. Zrobleno office network is emerging in Ukraine, new roadmaps for various businesses under DIA Business, online tools, using special programs to assess the skills of Ukrainian entrepreneurs, additional consultation support via DIA Business, and Zrobleno offices in Ukraine to train them. And new programs of regional leadership support, dual education, and retraining for women. Many measures are there. I will not give these all, but this is just one of the broadest chapters, actually, where you cannot do one thing, in a vacuum. You have to do it comprehensively to solve the problem. All right. Next part is about innovation. We really strive for Ukrainian business to become a part of the global digital economy, and we need to introduce smart sectors using AI, additional acceleration programs teach business to use new digital tools, launch vouchers and digital solutions, and many, many other things which will be accessible and available for entrepreneurs in this part of the plan. And the very last part is enhancing competitiveness and export growth. The strategy really reflects the critical areas of MOE activity. Increasing the export is one of them, and SMEs will get access to international markets, cooperation with platforms, and we also need to draft a new law with the parliament on platform cooperation, and we will launch so many programs together with our international, with IFIs, those stimulating training process and enhancing access of SMEs to foreign markets. And of course, Made in Ukraine brand. We're developing it via the state programs. It's funding the export development, export potential for SMEs. Okay. And how did the discussion go? It was really important for us that the SME strategy, for this to be not only governmental strategy designed by us, but to engage as broader circle as we could, regional authorities, local centers, think tanks, business associations, all the donors. So we got their approval. They said, yes, okay, we do it together, government approves that, and then we implement it. So in your relations with international organizations, local authorities, you can rely on that document and understand that these are truly the priorities that will be focused on by government, and additional funding will be provided for that. More than 25 business associations took part in discussions, and you can see the list, and like some of the organizations we talked to and those who approved the strategy. And we also have, of course, without KPI, strategy is not existent. Yeah, we need them. So for that, what we did, you can see the share of those KPIs, some of them. The strategy should impact those that shall change. So business operations simplified, then monitoring the amount of sales for SMEs, assessing indicator of business freedom under the specific index, and small delay we have. Okay, decreasing the unemployment rate, the share of SMEs in added value. So this is what we have to achieve by 2027. Yeah. With the finance, lack of capital is a barrier. This indicator went down, now in surveys from 20 to 10%. The share of non-operational credits must decrease for business to engage more funding. For the green transition, we have specific indicators, and for deregulation, we calculate number of hours the entrepreneur spends on average to cooperate with government. It must decrease in 4 years. Okay, in innovational development, additional scores in index on innovative development and GDP, that should grow, of course. For the export, we need to increase the export by 60 billion euros from SMEs, and the amount of export among SMEs, specific companies, those which are exporting, okay? Over 35,000, that should be. All right. For us to implement the strategy, we already gathered during the Berlin conference, so-called Alliance of Resilience, SMEs Resilience. This is the organization which comprises 12 countries, like United Kingdom is there supporting us today, one of them. And now we want to add some more states. We invite them, like 17 development institutions which already have programs for SMEs for the next 4 years. 7 billion euros reaching that. They should be distributed according to the strategy. The SMEs resilience strategy will be integrated in our donors' programs to implement it. And I think that, okay, we calculated the approximate amount of resource we need to complete that, and it reaches, it's basically the same scope. It's not just like a paper, it's truly a roadmap we will use, we as a government, of course, and donors. This alliance already had one gathering, one meeting, and this year we'll have another meeting, separate one, and now we have the mapping of various programs already exist based on the strategy to understand which measures already are supported internationally, which should be supported additionally. And we, of course, in 2024 will have a separate meeting dedicated to Alliance interaction to tell how it works, and to expand the circle for discussion. And just to finish, I want to say the strategy is already being implemented. For example, what was announced by Ms. Vredenko today, prefactoring the parts of the strategy. And recently, the government has adopted a big regulation plan. Last year, we had a huge regulation campaign, let's say, checked 1,500 of permits and licenses given by the state. We identified which share should be canceled, like 1/3, which should be digitized. So this plan is adopted by the government. 120 permits and licenses already are off, and we will cancel some more for entrepreneurs to make it easier. But if something is not in the regulation plan, there are some barriers, please tell us. We have like e-permit, Pulse, via that. We will check the feedback for us. This will allow us to take the dirt away.
And we encourage that greatly. Thanks a lot, everyone. The text of the strategy is here available if you want to read it. So just know that this is the document that the government is committed to. International partners ready to work with us. This is our roadmap to make for the SMEs easier to work in Ukraine, to stay the drivers of our growth. Thank you so much, everyone. Alexei Sobolev. We'll see more on our stage today. So you continue to take pictures of the slides. I understand we can't prevent you, but just a reminder, on the flip side of your badge, there's a QR code. You can get all the materials for today's event. So we'll continue to talk about digitalization and about digital tools for businesses. And now that's what Alexander Tilburg was going to tell us about, the Deputy Minister of Digital Transformation and Digitalization. Hello, everyone. Greetings, and let me stress that the Ministry of Economy wants to be a partner for the businesses. At the very beginning, together with our team, we set our vision and the goal on transformation, digitalization, the way we see our processes furthermore, ideas, concepts, projects. So the vision is very simple. We want to make Ukraine the most convenient place for doing business in the world. Our objective is 100% digitalization of services for business, where there's no possibility to be corrupt. So we want to facilitate all the contacts between the state and the business are happening electronically. So BPM schemes still leave for some corruption risks, and we have to work to prevent that. Another thing important to know that all the projects are supported by the Ministry of Economy, Julia Sviridenko, and are coordinated by the Minister of Digital Transformation, Mikhailo Fedorov. And we're very thankful for the support and cooperation, because many processes are interrelated, of course. And without this kind of interaction, it would have taken much longer. The main objective that we face right now to decrease the human error, human factor, And that's where digitalization of bureaucracy. We want to integrate AI. In this, we have to train its model to process big data that we have on permits, licenses, etc. And to integrate this into BPM schemas with all the regulatory provisions in mind, because we're moving to EU and we have white book which is designed already, and I believe this will be a strong anti-corruption factor. Now I would like us to thank you. And now I want us to think about public institution. We're in a small town where let's say we want to open our construction company. We want everything to go well. We have the idea, project managers, vision. We're a great team, and then we come in and we want to make a declaration, the registered declaration, in accordance of compliance of their equipment. And so you come over there, and there's a queue of people waiting, and you realize that you have to sit there and wait for your turn. So that's a day wasted. So we want to do away with that, with these unnecessary things for business. We need to digitize it and make all these processes super quick. Everything that used to take a day should happen in a second. So we want to make it possible for all the state permits and licenses. We also want to digitize business inspections, where everything is pretty transparent and everything is traceable. There's an audit trace, etc. So we want the state to exist for the business, not stand in the way of businesses, not relegating to businesses the burdens that it's not of businesses, not to their benefit, not to anyone's benefit. So here are some of the projects. The first project is e-Dozvil, e-permit. So the experimental project was to create a unified electronic system where you can get your necessary permits and the related documents. So we want to digitize 100% of permits and licenses in the future, and even more ambitious goal that we're working on right now. We're shaping the vision. We work with startups dealing with AI. And with the help of AI, we're going to do the first application in BPMM. And in the pilot project to regulatory sandbox, the first permit issued by decision that is made by AI. So there will be, of course, critical overview of that, whether the human rights have been violated, everything is related, it is within the norm. It's going to expedite the processes, and it will give a great example for all the digital projects that are happening in our country. Now the first service starts in the registration of declaration of material and technical base and labor safety. So if it took 5 days before, maybe some got lucky and had it in 5 days or 2 days, it's going to take 1 second. It's going to be online in production this Wednesday. Businesses will be able to use it and save their time and also money. Also, there's a significant decrease in this case, there will be better returns, because businesses, when they fill out all the fields in the forms, if they miss out something, the system will give them a hint. You missed out, and you have, so that all the documents are in proper shape. It's important because earlier businesses and companies had failed to fill out all the necessary fields. Then it took a lot of reworking. So there's a new decree that will expand the list of services available through e-permit. So we digitize a service to prolong the deadline to payments on exports imports. And now, instead of just a few days, the companies will only need to spare a couple of hours. It was a very important feature in big demand, because businesses, I know from my personal experience, I was during consultant, it wasn't very fast, and it took a lot of effort. Now it's going to be digitized and very transparent. Now, within the first wave on e-Dozwell, we break down digitalization in waves, and overall there's going to be 8 more services digitized. It's already announced, and you can see that on our website. Now let's proceed to Project Pulse. It's a new project where I'm invested very much. I'm a believer in this project. We know that whenever services are provided, there should be a customer. But in case of Ministry of Economy, it has to be a company around whom the service is built and convenient conditions. So the state plays the role of administrator. And this service was created to connect the state and the businesses, where businesses will be able to resolve their problems, to file requests, provide recommendations, and we make the service transparent. And we have main dashboards there, how businesses are engaged, what's most important for the businesses, what has to be resolved in the first order priority. And it's all happening through several, just a few clicks, you get the service. So I recommend to join in, so that we with the business can improve our country together. The project is built in partnership with the Ministry of Digital Council of Business Ombudsperson and Council on Supporting Businesses in the Wartime. So it's now is released as a beta version. And so the Pulse, if it has to become a consolidated voice of the entrepreneurs in Ukraine. It has to reflect the actual challenges and solutions that you can work with, and create AI-based solutions which are done for the benefit of all businesses in Ukraine. Throughout this period, that's why it's in beta version, because we understand we need to give it some, we need to release it as soon as possible. We have to optimize the form, optimize the website. We have to increase conversion rate, because we had some underperforming indicators. As soon as we have it going, we will go through active marketing. We will engage business association. We will make QR codes locally. QR code, stickers, posters, and businesses, whenever they want to get a service, fill out the declarations that are still not digitized. They will be able to leave feedback about the challenges they face, and talk about the issue they have, or provide recommendations how the service can be improved. Also, Pulse platform, we've added recently the quick voting. We call it TAP in our team, so it's a very quick possibility to vote for the most important issue or solution for the business, which will have impact on changes in the country. You can test it out right now. Visit Pulse.gov.ua, and it just takes a couple of seconds. Leave your opinion. What's the most important problem in the country that we have? And now to wrap up, we have some dashboards. We share all the information with the visitors. We see what problems were received, how much feedback. The numbers there are still underachievement. The indicators there, they cannot speak for all the business, but as soon as we are into active stage of marketing, we'll do it, and we'll make the indicators just the way that we need to solve the problem. Our closest goal that we set for ourselves to have successful beta testing, to have so we need 1,000 feedback, 1,000 feedback signals till 2024. In the future, we have the goal to introduce crowdsourcing for public institutions. So, state authorities using crowdsourcing and do surveys so that the businesses are getting more active in the regions, because we know in different regions there can be different challenges. And we plan by 2025 to get closer to introduce the rating of public institutions to see how much they are involved, how much invested they are in the life of the business in the region. Do they resolve their problems? And so you can all read that on the dashboard. So there you have it. And lastly, about the Pulse, you can just scan the QR code now. They're all scannable. And leave your tap or leave a complaint and share your sentiment. What's the most important thing to change? I personally am a great believer in this project, and I am a believer that we can consolidate businesses. We can trust the state, and we can provide better, high-quality services. Now I want to talk about the project that is done by Prozoro Sales, factoring and public procurement. It's funding tool with postponed payment, where you get the goods now and get payments later. It's important public procurement because the state receives fair competition and better price proposals. As a result, we'll be able to have better coverage for future tenders. We talk about numbers. Factoring market is assessed at 10-20 billions per year, and minimum as much for private procurement. Private procurement, we plan to have in the second iteration of the product when everything is well tested. So over the next 12 to 18 months, the service will be developing better technology, better optimization processes. So when most of the public contractors will join in, there'll be a second iteration already. So these are the high priority projects that I described that are in my scope, that we've outlined together with the Ministry of Economy, that we believe in. in particular that if we make them, we will help businesses to be effective and not to stand in the way so much, but instead being a support for the businesses. I also want to add that my main, most important task right now is to build a strong team. We are looking for talented people. People are generating ideas, and we want to help them. So by building a strong and powerful team, we'll be able to do more projects. So thanks a lot. There'll be more to come. Let's make Ukraine the most convenient country to make business in through digitalization services. Thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, please stay here, Alexander, for a while. I want you to applaud Alexander and his team. They're doing incredible things. Secondly, you are witnesses now of a certain debut of Alexander, because it was his first public speech as a deputy minister. Let's thank him. Thanks a lot.
So you have just a couple of minutes to drink some water and relax, because you'll be there again. We'll prepare the stage for Alexander and other speakers and other panelists, okay, friends? Yeah, we want to make it more convenient for you as well. So after the event, you will use your QR coded presentations, and Alexander's presentation is already there, okay? So you can delete the photos from your smartphones or keep it, whatever. So yeah, we will have a more detailed even discussion about digital tools. And if Alexander spoke about business digital tools, we'll speak about digital tools for business development. Okay, the stage is almost ready. I will announce the panelists. Yulia Sverdenko, of course. Yeah, she had some rest. First Vice Prime Minister, Minister of Economy. Alexander Tsibor, finishing his water, and he's again with us, Deputy Minister of Economy and Digitization. We also have Oleg Horokhovsky with us, founder of fintech bank Monobank. And we'll have Artem Borodatyuk, founder of Netfig Group. And we'll have Roman Vashuk, business ombudsman. Please take your seats, and who will moderate the discussion? Daria Zarivna, advisor of the head of the presidential office. Okay, in such a wonderful company, let us spend an hour, I guess, okay? Daria, you'll take an hour? Yeah? Okay. Okay, a round of applause to all the participants, to all the panelists, and I pass the floor to you. This was a small women's empowerment, Yulia. Yeah. Okay, we have a panel discussion, and it's called Digital Tools for Business Development. But honestly, I decided to change the topic a little bit. Yeah. Yulia will never invite me moderate again. But yeah, it's really hard to find something worth discussing, like business development tools, digital tools. So I used a moment. Today we have people who are really important members of our council supporting entrepreneurship at wartime. This council was established by President in the presidential office, and within the last 6 months, they got some interesting experience of interacting with state stakeholders. And honestly, it's interesting to speak and to discuss their impressions, and just to discuss the way they interact state and business. For us to actually start the discussion, to make it dynamic, I would love to have the following flashback introduced. Okay, historian Mark Wilson, when he was studying economy of United States during WW2, he had a paradoxical conclusion. Introduced. This economy was a planned one. It was a mobilization economy. Enterprises, even the big ones, if they were not able to process the state order or to cooperate with the government, they were nationalized. And with all that, the economy was the most effective in the US history and in the global history. He has an interesting statement that the governance, the economy governance or management was ensured by highly bureaucratic mathematical equations. So this war was won by people in offices who were calculating the needs properly, okay, and they were considering the risks. So it's interesting. It was not a genius of like some private business monopoly, but the planned economy. So Ukrainian model of wartime economy. What is that? Okay. What is the interaction of business and state? How does it look? So we want to talk about that as well. About digital tools, of course, we will discuss this today. We will start with Yulia, okay? So Yulia, when we speak about the dialogue is basically just a form of interaction, but argument, flirting, it's about interaction as well. Okay. What type of dialogue is the state shaping? What type of dialogue do you have with business? And this is, it takes two to tango, you know? So how does business play the game? Do you actually support the game? It's interesting to get your opinion. No, you'll be the first one. You start, okay? Thank you. I think that our relations with business, just like in a normal family, yeah. Sometimes we have tension, sometimes passion. Sometimes everything goes okay, very calmly. But I do believe we have this dialogue, and we try, in some important aspects, we try to communicate, get feedback, and considering business opinions when we shape the policy. We try to do that. Not always we can consider the opinion of business because they always want to maximize their profit, and our task is to find a balance, okay? But this dialogue, I think, is at the stage now where we are really open to each other. I speak on my own behalf and on behalf of the ministry and office colleagues, where we together under the in the council we discuss really important issues, like the most acute ones. But I think it's quite an open dialogue. Oleg, Yulia passes it to you. Okay, so first of all, how do you assess the quality of dialogue? Secondly, do you agree with this conclusion of Mark Wilson? How do you think? So we had it like 80 years ago, according to him. Is it relevant today to have this type of interaction or economic governance? Yeah. Can we manage economy like that? If not, which type do we need? Which format? Okay, you had that experience within 6 months or more, so you interact with state stakeholders, with business associations, businesses. You were in this difficult situation, like balancing on a rope, okay? And I want to ask you, first of all, what are your lessons learned? And secondly, what would state, public sector take from business, to launch innovations? Because we have to talk about digital tools. Innovations that are required by the consumer. Thank you so much. It's a question for 5 hours to be answered, okay? It's good. Yeah, briefly, please. I will answer something I will remember from the question. Okay, first, Interaction of business and state. What is the key idea, in my opinion? If everything was okay, the state must be like, on a football match. You never know where the judge is, okay? We don't need to interact with the state per se. So our key goal is to do something, cover certain need of our clients, and satisfy the need and make money, respectively, paying taxes. And then the state, if one is effective, the state will handle the taxes. They will distribute it in such a way for everyone to be super satisfied. Or, well, it doesn't work like that in the country, so we're trying to interact. Interaction with the state is taking place, unfortunately. We interact more based on consequences of something that we done incorrectly previously, okay? So it's like a reactive interaction at some point. This is the key thing we have to handle and change. When we try to extinguish a fire, when we eliminate it, it works in business at least. You can see that as well. But I think that when you eliminate a fire, you have to understand what was the reason, what was the catalyst, what is basically the reason for this fire to emerge, okay? What is the reason of consequences? And the state is a big project. It's a large project. And if you try to work only with consequences, you will always stay behind, okay? It will be like somewhere there. So you have to be proactive. Check the reason. Check the cause and try to do it properly. When I think of the initial cause, okay, in such a project as state, so first of all, these are people. There must be a team. Because you, as the top manager of the country, you have so many projects and painful spots, okay? You need to delegate, and this is the initial cause for you later to hope that some tasks will be completed without bad consequences. We interact with MOE a lot, and when I observe this interaction with the state, I compare this with the way we interact in a company, inside the company. Yeah? All businesses, those who think they're effective, how they interact. There are rules in companies, there are some clear KPIs and expectations, and in these iterations, step by step, you move towards this. You can shape the vision of how the company is moving. I love that some ministries now, they remind me of how it works in business, the same process. I see projects, I see regular meetings that they organize. I can see the feedback mechanism. I can see that they don't lose the track of their tasks. I love it, okay? And do we have many of those ministries? We interact with the Yulia's ministry, with the Ministry of Digital Transformation, OPG also. When there is a pressure in business, we interact with the presidential office when there is pressure. Where we interact with the state, we can see that this connection is effective, pretty effective. When I was really surprised when I stepped into that. I thought it was pretty dysfunctional initially, okay? Because still we have this idea from previous times, it was super bureaucratized. Now they correct everything. They try to improve. They try to make it much faster. We are different from Wilson's times now, okay? It's pretty different because since times of Wilson, the key change that has taken place is acceleration. It's much faster now. So we are quite fast, putting it simply. So we can't compare the WW2 period and the current war, of course. Like, okay, let's take one example. Quite often I bring this example to people. What happened with the UAV sector? 2 years ago, it was non-existent, okay? And a country is at war from the scratch, okay? People see they can change something. Someone just started autonomously investing one's energy and enthusiasm, doing something that expanding, the sector. Now it's even a separate branch in the military. So this is really inspiring. So if this is possible, then in other sectors, it's possible as well. So we have high hopes that if a good leader comes with a proper speed, with the wish, if one's willing to, we can actually change it for better even now. Oleg, we speak of the approach, Wilson's approach. This is Wilson's assessment of approaches, that planned mobilization economy, WW2 actually led everybody to victory, was super effective. Why do you think that this approach today is not relevant? Speed is the characteristics of environment changing. When we say plan or planned, instantly what we mean, a cycle of planning, okay? Certain timelines when things should be complete, and then reports on the completion. So you are either punished or praised, okay? But it goes so fast today that you plan this list of drones tomorrow, it's already obsolete. You need something else. Planned economy, it's not about planning something for a year. It's is that you have enough of intelligence to realize that plan is a tool, okay? That you're intelligent enough to understand this. How can we speak of the planned economy if in 2 months, before the money's over, cabinet tells us in September we'll be out of money? So we smell that already in the air, like the smoke. Okay, plan is a tool. You have to use it. But should everything be dance around the plan? No. Everything must rotate around common sense. Okay? Not a tool, a specific tool. Because a hammer is a good tool if you use it for nails. But if you kill someone with a hammer, then it's not so good. Okay. Now I just want to talk to Alexander. Greetings. This is the second public speech in your new role that you give. Okay. In your presentation, you gave us the details on what the priorities will be. You spoke of the team, so I guess I want to have some more details on this. Second practical question. How Ukrainians will feel the results of your work? So, will these be tangible? Okay? Just explain it. Thank you so much, Daria. Thank you for supporting me as a speaker. It's important because I'm still nervous. For the team, I already told that for our team, the biggest priority is talented people. In our opinion, they will change the country. They'll continue doing it. They will put these ideas in practice via projects, so many of them. And this capacity is being built inside the ministry as well, the Department of Digitization, and also with the support of partners, giving us a chance to have these project teams for specific tasks, like we have it for Pulse. We have a separate product with project manager, and this is so cool, I think, because we build teams like we have it in markets and companies. We can compete, actually, and we can invite talents. So when we shaped the team, we wanted to articulate our vision, mission, and values. That's how we pick people, because hard skills, you can always improve that. It's not a problem for me, okay? For us, I mean. The most important thing is about values. It's harder to change values. And we search for these people actively. I interrupt you, sorry. But how do you check the values or validate these? Yes, we have interviews, of course, and I have a lot of experience of handling interviews. And with frameworks, tables, a consolidated approach. You can actually identify if a person has certain values, where one worked, how one was performing the tasks. I often ask to demonstrate working files, show the results. Yeah, a lot of mist is around that. I go deep into details. I'm not on the surface. I want to know people better. I want to understand them, so that's what I'm doing. And we have new people coming, by the way. Thanks to events. Last time there was a motivated person coming to us saying one wants to change the country and from business. So these people really want to change something. I do believe that we will shape the team and we will have all projects completed. Thank you so much. How to make it tangible for Ukrainians, the results. This whole thing is done for Ukrainians to feel like business, first of all. To feel that all projects that I speak of, I believe in this. I don't do something I have no faith in. If I never had faith in Pulse, I would never take it in my scope. I would never put my signature. I believe in this project. If we do everything as we see it, this project will definitely be a problem solver, okay? With great analytical background to solve the problems. For example, when we reach the result, when with the necessary amount of applications, we'll initiate the meetings and change the policy. Then business will feel the changes.
Other projects, like there is a e-permit where we digitize permits and licenses. We involve business analysts in the project office, and we see some corruption dangers where decisions are made by public officials. In every BPM arrangement, there is a bureaucrat where the buck stops in some way. So it takes 1 to 7 days to pass a decision. So we want to automate this with AI. We have all the data. We can train the LLM. There's a lot of people ready to help. I just talked to the Google. They also want to engage, and all these capabilities have to be consolidated and used in the state work. Thank you, Alexander. So if we touched upon the topic of Pulse, I want to talk to you. The Business Ombudsperson's Council enters the game in the most critical moment, where the company goes to file a complaint against the state agencies. Do you think Pulse will help to improve your work? And secondly, what is your framework that you use as you resolve all these problems between the business and the government? Well, thank you. First of all, I would say that the Ombudsperson's Council, from the get-go, is a digitized organization. So we only work with the case management system, and the results are in real time emerging on our screen. So I want to thank Artem Borlatyuk, first of all. It was nice to be included in this expanded ecosystem, because in Ukraine there's always a problem that they forget about existing tools and they create new. Donors like to support new things, but they sometimes rarely understand how complex the Ukrainian system is. So we want to service our segment, and I think another elements will be also developing, that will be including those that is not included in our sphere, administrative complaints. And we're also under the influence of that. We reevaluate part of our definitions. Can we narrow something down, expand something in this evolution of the ecosystem? And I would like to note that I support digitalization, in particular this solution, the decision to continue permits for foreign currency return and goods import. Otherwise, we had to talk to the trade representative, and now it takes a few clicks to accomplish. It's great, but human factor cannot be 100% avoided in public policy, and we already mentioned that we need signal from the state, not only from the cabinet ministers, but also from the law enforcement, from tax authority, that the normal activity for both businesses and the state, public servants, is not going to be like all punishment. There's this kind of clinch in state. So the public servants are afraid to sign documents because they will be punished or imprisoned, because businesses are thinking, when the inspection come to me. So this is a kind of vicious circle. It has to be resolved. But part of this resolution is the permit to public officials to make positive discretionary decisions that will make the renewal possible, and economic. So this, you can't give it to a computer 100%. Thanks. Well, pulse is one of the key things, and maybe the idea number one that we described with the council support of the entrepreneurs. But other than pulse, there's another digital product, and we did. Oleg did it together with Artem Borodetko. Artem, I want to talk to you now. What kind of lessons learned you have from all this interesting marathon that we were happening in the latest 6 months? Secondly, how do you think, what should a post-war digital economy look like, the victory economy? And maybe you can tell us a little bit about the Pulse, how you had this work arranged, and what kind of lessons you learned. So how much? We have enough time. How much? Some 10 minutes. We still have them. Okay, great. So first lesson learned. I've learned today that you can help and be in the council of entrepreneurs, but I still do not receive award for support. Okay, Artem, the organizers are writing to me. We only have 10 minutes. This is all the time we have. No. Okay, jokes aside. Well, we didn't yet digitize the awards process. I was only making pictures with Tarasa Panashenko. Maybe Sasha Separat will take this project and he will make it. But on a serious note, I wanted to say this, something that every blogger starts. I've been often asked. I wanted to say that, but nobody asked me, in fact, other than Darina and Artur Michno from WorkUA. He asked me in the comments on Facebook, tell me about your experience, how to help the state. Well, it turns out that I would say it's quite easy, because of the first factor. State management is really ready to hear you. So when in businesses, whenever you work, but when your manager is ready to listen to you, that's half of the. So first 50%. It's always like that. Julia, while we're here, Julia has answered on WhatsApp some 35 times. So she's working all the time. And Oleg, correct me if I'm wrong, but everywhere we worked, we were listened to. There's always some communication. We can't always get what you want, but there's communication with us. That's the first part. Even now, you see, Darina starts answering questions. So people are at work. I'm writing to you. Okay. Second part. So that's first part. That they're ready to listen. Second part. To me, it turns out to be very easy. Like they say, the state has a lot of problems. Yeah, there is bureaucracy. It takes a long time still to get some documents. Like we get the call with Oleg. We have every week, we have a Pulse call, we have EBRD call, we have a dashboard for prosecution. Then we send some letter. Somebody wanted to send this and that. Everybody comes to the call. 20 lawyers. Have you sent your letter? We didn't receive your letter. Can you send again? So that can last for some 5 minutes. Then Oleg says something, or I say something, and then it moves faster. But this bureaucracy is still a challenge. Second challenge is that there are not enough management skills. People that not only in the state, but everywhere. Because the management is pretty easy. It's pretty simple if you know what you're doing. Let's add some interactive. Wait a second. So, what about Roman? Do you think that state stakeholders are afraid to take responsibility? Yes, there's a sure. You have to fire them and hire new ones. I think like. Please comment on that. If you don't know how to take initiative in your hands, ask Pivovarsky. Okay, Artem. Well, somebody has to do it. Somebody has to risk. So there is a problem with responsibility. You have to work on a separate track about changes in legislation. I don't like the case in Pivovarsky case. There are many cases like that. I like the cases. I like these cases, but otherwise, so responsibility is important. So interactive session. I had a question. When you Julia was in the first meeting where she invited me to help with something. I was for the first time on the state meeting. I still remember that. It was an interesting experience. Everybody got there online, offline, on Zoom. And there's a question. Raise your hands, those of you who work in the state agencies, ministries, public companies. Just raise your hand like this. 30%, something like that. So a question to you. I was on one meeting, then I was another 10, and none of them, nobody writes a follow-up. Nobody is recording like what they decided. I'm talking about my experience, okay? The minutes is a different thing. Because it just says who said what. He said that, she said that. What you need some solutions. What has to become? Second thing. Do you then put these things that you recorded in the task manager? Do you have a task manager at all? Because sometimes I don't see it. First thing, do you have reporting afterwards? And it's all business things. They do work in business as well. So the lessons learned is management, business management, effective things should be put into the state management. So we help people to master those skills. When I get my award, okay, we won't be inviting you anymore. It's okay, it's just a follow. I made some effort. Thank you so much. So maybe we should talk to Pivovarsky. So I hope I have answered your question. You know, we had some interesting panel discussion here. Thanks so much for the attention. Would you like to draw some conclusions about what we've said today? About the dialogue in businesses and the authorities? We talked about key important things that sometimes stand in the way of moving faster, getting things done. As was Roman described, you know, it resonated because it's often you see that what stands in the way of good decisions is the fear that Roman mentioned. So on one hand, it's a delicate balance between work of law enforcement So it's important. It means some responsibility. But on the other hand, there's this flip side. There should be a balance.
Насправді я погоджуюсь зі всіма спікерами і відносно я погоджуюсь, що, наприклад, треба зменшувати і
So we need to diminish the unnecessary role of the state when it's not necessary. The corporate reform, no plan to reform will work in this condition because there is no plan that will stand the test of time. When the war will end, at least. So you have to drive the regulation. We need to make decisions. The bureaucrats have to make decisions. And this is where we need the law enforcement on board, who have to say from their part that there should be certain discretion. There must be radical steps that aimed at deregulation, etc. Well, moving more business processes, well, we're trying to do that as much as we can, some more successful, some less, but it's all depending on who's managing the ministry, who's building the policy. So, we are in business, we have KPI. We have KPI for every deputy, and we're looking what we have achieved or not achieved. But to say that we can change management as fast as business does, probably not, because, you know, there are not so many people willing to go and work for the state. See somebody was crying. So the only way out of the situation is the right symbiosis and cooperation with the government. Otherwise, the war is unwinnable, because you have the innovation, you have the flexibility, you have the access to funding. We have, unfortunately, many regulations, barriers for development, and only by moving together, we can, as Alex said, opening new markets, not only drones, as I mentioned, demining and many other things. But it's got to be a symbiosis, because only in this kind of combination we can tackle this road. Thanks a lot. I think we had a really great discussion. Thanks everyone for the participation. Thanks a lot. Everyone, thank you, Darina, all the participants in the discussion. Don't run away. We still have one important final part of this event. In a minute, we'll proceed to it. Let me remind you that QR codes, you have them on your badges. They will lead you to all the materials you've seen or heard. All the pictures are going to be there as well, because you not only made a picture of the screen, but the stage, the speakers, and it's going to be available on this link. And now we are moving to the final part of our event, which is the awarding the nominees of the National Prize Award, Ukraine National Enterprise Promotion Award. National Award is the Ukrainian stage of European awards, European Enterprise Promotion Awards. And so the Ukrainian part is awarded to initiatives that facilitate development of Ukrainian some small and medium enterprises regionally and locally. And so two winners will participate in the European Annual Ceremony, EAPA on SME Assembly 2024, which will happen very soon, November in Hungary. National Enterprise Promotional Award 23-24, initiated by the Ministry of Economy, Ministry of Digital Transformation, and the Office of Development of Entrepreneurship and Exports within EU for Business Projects, SME policies and institutional support implemented by consortium with GISM, RDO, and Svita, with the financial support of EU. Some of the introductory notes.
The participation of Ukrainian business and their support organization in EU programs, EU initiatives, and other events. And these awards are a good example on how this can be organized. So, as I said before, the national winners, or some of the national winners, will represent Ukraine at the European level. and their stories of success, creativity, and innovation will be shared also at the European level, and there will be an important sign that despite the Russian aggression to Ukraine, this is what you can achieve in Ukraine. And I think these awards are also an important domestic recognition and encouragement for Ukrainian entrepreneurship to keep up their efforts and continue growing. So thanks for your attention, and we must move to Alexei then.
Thank you, Henrik, for supporting this. Дякую.
I'm grateful to the EU for supporting this initiative. This competition was held in Ukraine for many times. Last winter, not only in Ukraine, but also in European arena, Dia Business was one of the winners. In this project actually recognizes entrepreneurs not only for being entrepreneurs per se, but for actually developing it as a concept, okay? And those who develop their ecosystems, you know, we were searching for these people. And the 2024 iteration, well, this was much more popular, you know, the competition itself. We worked together with the Ministry of Digital Transformation, like SME strategy. We processed it together when we were drafting it. 119 of applications were received, and the independent jury with entrepreneurs, academia, business associations, they picked 6 nominations in various categories, like 6 winners. 2 of these will go to European iteration of the competition to represent Ukraine. 6 categories: promoting entrepreneurial spirit, investing in skills, supporting digitization, improving the business environment, supporting the sustainable transformation, and responsible and inclusive entrepreneurship. So, let's go directly to winners, and we will provide the awards. So, investing in entrepreneurial skills. Who's the winner? Social Union Kharkiv Cluster of Information Technology Project Bootcamp, getting real experience in IT sector. As you can see, winners get 2 certificates. These are identical in 2 languages. That's the difference, okay? Thank you so much. Greetings and congrats. The next category is supporting sustainable transformation, and the winner is the Network of Global Compact Ukraine Innovate for Ukraine project. Climate and Energy Action. Next category, responsible and inclusive entrepreneurship. CSO Impact Force, Impact Business Accelerator Project. Thank you for this award, of course. So this is an important award for us because it shows that we have the common desire to have these social changes happening. And my big gratitude to my partner, Lina Levchuk. She couldn't come to us today, but she is the ideological locomotive of Impact Business Accelerator, let's say. And big thank you. And yeah, for the support. Thank you. A round of applause. Then we have promoting the entrepreneurial spirit. Consortium of partners, Executive Committee of Ivano-Frankivsk City Council, Innovative Center Promprilad, Urban Lab, MetaLab, Agency of Economic Development, PPVN Platform Teple Misto. New Economy in Ivano-Frankivsk project, supporting the clusters, the NEF clusters. So you can even see on the screen actually a small text saying that the project becomes a delegate of European Enterprise Promotion Awards 2024, according to the jury. Thank you. Congratulations. Next category is supporting the digital technology and Reincubator, Ukrainian Network of Energy Innovations. Climatic Innovative Vouchers. This is their project. And again, you can see that we have Reincubator's second delegate to European Enterprise Promotion Awards 2024. And we go there just to praise our green Ukrainian businesses. If you want to distribute the story of Ukrainian green champions, go to our website. Yeah. We go to boast. Thank you, dear donors, for this opportunity. I'm grateful to everyone we have here, EBRD, EU, and of course our entrepreneurs. Yulia Spiridенko said that entrepreneurs are the shareholders of MOE. For us, these are success because this is the highest evaluation, the highest appreciation we can imagine. Thank you. And let's have green innovations. Thank you. This is not all. We have another category, improving business environment and support of internationalization. Who is the winner here? Executive Committee of Pavlohrad City Council Youth Entrepreneurship Development Project. And this project gets the Grand Prix of national competition. Thank you. Congrats. Thank you so much for helping us. Thank you for your support. And ladies and gentlemen, officially we finalized the most important part of the event. So, yeah. Let's have a round of applause to each other. I think we had a very productive opening of the week, and I hope you are energized enough to continue doing what you're doing, for each of us and for the country. Thank you so much. Glory to Ukraine and glory to heroes. So we finalize with the working part, but of course you'll have an informal discussion afterwards, okay? Thank you so much.